Well, hello everybody. I'm Dr. Glenn Harrison, and welcome to this week's episode of Why. This is where we answer some of the most common health-related questions I see every day in my practice. So the question this week is, Dr. Harrison, why do I absolutely crave sweets? I just have this sweet tooth that I can't control, and it doesn't matter what I do, I just can't get rid of it. Why? Well, that's a big question, but we do have a couple answers for that one. The question, I guess, the first thing we have to know is do you crave it? Or I should say, do you need it? Absolutely need the sugar, or do you just like it? Okay. If you just like sugar, congratulations, you're like every other human on the planet, or should be, because it's our biological makeup to actually like something sweet. It is, because as humans back in the day, we would seek out it's part of our DNA to seek out high energy or high sweet foods. So I guess that's high sugar content, like berries and things like that. We would seek that out because that was a very dense form of energy. Okay, so that's naturally what we're supposed to like. But when we need it, that is a whole nother story, and a lot of people have that need, and that's why I'm making this video. So if you need it, you crave it, you gotta have it. You have it you have some kind of sweets in your desk. You have a stash at home. You know, maybe you're relying on pop or soda all the time to get that fix. That's a problem. That's a big problem. And so how do you address that? Or really, what does it mean? So all of our symptoms are cravings. It really tells us something. If we're needing it and craving it, and we need it now, and sometimes we can get hangry. Have you ever heard of that term? Hungry and angry? Well, that's because these sweet cravings mean our blood sugar is getting too low. If our blood sugar gets too low, our brain starts starving, because that's the only thing our brain can work off is glucose, blood sugar. And we need it, food, and we need it now. That means it's getting too low. When we have those sweet cravings, those really significant needs, it's getting too low. If it's getting too low, the brain starts sputtering, and we can get frustrated, angry, irritable, all of that. Be careful with that, because if you have that, there's a very good chance you could be a pre-diabetic or a diabetic, meaning your blood sugar stays up too high and then it crashes, and it gets up too high and crashes. If that happens, that's got to be taken care of immediately. So get that addressed, call us, we can work with you on that and get that turned around. In my office, when we see people with that question or that concern, or we see that problem, and we're working together, my patients will ask me, when we're talking about foods, they say, well, Dr. Harrison, you never said anything about sugars, cutting sugars, because sugar has a bad name. And I really make a deal with them. I tell them, if you don't crave it, will you eat it? 99% of the time they say, Dr. Harrison, no, if I don't crave it, I can kick the habit without a problem. So that's the trick, not just stopping the sugar, but not craving it, fixing it. And there's so many ways with that. Foods will do this, stressors, sleep, chemicals, it just goes on and on. But you can't get past it. So all of my patients, they don't crave it anymore, and then they don't need it. So get rid of the craving, or fix the cause of the craving, and you won't need it anymore. Balance it. That's the trick to kicking sugar, is finding ways to not crave it. And then it'll balance and you won't crave it ever again. But if you take a lot more sugar out of nowhere, it'll spike it, and then you crash and you crave it again. So that's the why of blood sugar, or the sweet cravings. Another thing to look at is, again, sugar is given the bad name, and it should, but it's the body's response to sugar that causes the problem. So that's insulin. When we have these spikes and these crashes in blood sugar, and the sweet cravings and the afternoon energy crashes, that's all, and brain fog, a lot of that's blood sugar. When it gets too low, or I should say when it spikes, or we consume a lot of sugary content, sweet foods, because of our craving, naturally insulin comes into the picture to clean up all of that circulating blood sugar, put it in the form of fat tissue. When that happens, when a lot of insulin comes into the story, there's a lot of inflammation in the body. To summarize, insulin is the most inflammatory thing that you could give your body. And this becomes a problem with type 1 and type 2 diabetics taking insulin, because insulin is needed, of course it's needed, but we want the absolute minimum. So the more sugar you consume, the more insulin you need, and the more inflammatory symptoms you have. Everything from joint pain to skin irritations to allergies to fatigue to infertility to on and on and on and on. So control your sugar, you'll control your insulin, you'll naturally control inflammatory problems. So I think that's it in a nutshell. That is the reason why we crave it. If we like it, you're normal. If we need it, get some help and get that taken care of. And you can always reach out to us. So hopefully this was helpful. If you know of anybody struggling with the need that gets hangry, hungry, and angry, send them this video and get it taken care of before it turns into even a bigger problem. But with that being said, I'm Dr. Glenn Harrison. I look forward to talking to you next day, and we'll answer a why to another question. Have a great day.